Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for the wrap up of Keanu Reeves month with the final John Wick movie to review for now. John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. Uh, please do me a favor, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to Talkative Carl in the links in the description. Now, as promised, I'm wrapping up Keanu Reeves with like a Keanu Reeves movie month, ending strong with the John Wick series. Now, check out my previous John Wick spoiler reviews up on the channel. Now, chapter 3. We're returning with well-known characters. Keanu Reeves as John Wick, Ian McShane as Winston, Lance Reddick as Carrion, which just like with Ruby Rose in chapter 2 playing Ares, you got Carrion being like a ferryman in Greek mythology, is like a ferryman for dead souls into the underworld. Which like I brought that up in the previous ones, I'm bringing up now. You also get a return of Lawrence Fishburne as the Bowery King, but new people like Halle Berry as Sophia, Mark Dacascos plays Zero, Asia Kate Dillon as the Adjudicator, uh, 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 Angelica Houston as the Director, and Syed Tafmoy, as the Elder. And so, as chapter 2 ends, John is on the run now. Has only 1 hour before the excommunicado and the now 14 million global bounty on John Wick's head goes into effect. So John runs, sends off the dog to Carrion to take care of while he getting all this business done. He goes to this library and grabs a book, which has some significance. If you, cause I wish I'd written down the title. Like I've seen this movie plenty of times. It has a meaning to it if you to pay attention to the title of the book he picked up. But inside is like a hollow out area where he has this rosary, a marker, and a picture of him and Helen, an extra picture of him and Helen, while the previous one got burned up in the house when it got blew up. So you got this really tall guy coming in, reading a passage from Dante's Inferno, which another little nice little bit of context, but it's kind of like with Ares and Carrion. This little subtext with like these different stuff that you read from, and it has some kind of significance to the overall plot, where like John, as the Elder mentions later in the film, it's like you fought your way back to something that you got out of, and you see John fighting his way back to hell, just like Dante goes through. I don't think I mentioned this during my. It was my video game walkthrough of Dante's Inferno, one of my favorite video games ever. I didn't mention this because I didn't have like audio setup working at the time, but you have Dante Alighieri fighting in the actual poem. He didn't actually fight. He's just like walking through each level, but in the game he's literally fighting his way towards the ninth circle where Lucifer is. In order to reach paradise, he has to go through the depths of hell, one each worse than the last. It's 9 circles, and John effectively has to, in a sense, do the same thing. He has to go through these like gambits, different levels of gambits, in order to reach the Elder, in order to find a way beyond it to get out of this situation he put himself in, which is something he probably should have thought of before he shot D'Antonio. But he he just like, no f's given, honestly. But the tall dude attacks John, and like an awesome right off the bat, you got like an awesome action scene setting up, the tone of the film, and he beats this guy with a book. You thought the pencil thing was wild. He takes a book and just jams it in his mouth. This dude is tall. Calories already a tall dude, like at least over 6 feet. You got this dude who's look like he could easily be like Yao Ming's height, like reaching like 7. And he's holding Keanu Reeves by hand, like he's holding him back, like this was just like his long ass arm. And John, gets up ahead and hits his groin with the book, and then jams the book into this tall guy's mouth and just cracks his teeth, breaks his jaw, and cracks his neck, and just puts the book back in place. It's just wild. And dude, knew that John had like 10 minutes left, but he didn't care. It's like, who's gonna know the difference? And it's like he just gets his ass beat. And John makes his way after he got wounded because the tall guy had a knife and injured his shoulder. He goes to the doctor that we've seen in chapter 2, the keymaker guy from the Matrix, patches him up, and give him some stitches. But by the time the clock ran out, he couldn't complete it exactly. So John had to suture the rest, what little left himself. And just like with like Winston and Cherion, the doctor, and John go way back, and there's respect for each other. So he can't physically do anything the way he sees it. Like I can't physically do anything, but I can at least point you what medicine on the counter you can reach to help you out. But he instructs John to shoot him in like inside of the stomach and below the his left collarbone, so they'll look like because he knows like they won't believe him that that I didn't tell you where the medicine was, so you gonna have to be convincing and like I was forced or something. So John shoots him like in certain places where like it won't be fatal, and John goes off, and in the meantime gets into like first battle onslaught he gets to these Asian gang members, and like you go to this look like a museum, and it's like an awesome where it's like just like a straight up like knife scene where it's just like it's so unique, just like I mentioned previously in the other films, how like closely realistic they making it while still maintaining the awesomeness, where they grabbing all these knives that's lying around and they're just chucking it at each other, and like some of them don't hit because like you see all this like these older action films where it's like a guy can just throw a knife and it lands perfectly at the enemy, just like right on the marker. This like no, some gets through, yeah, but they're not all gonna be winners. Some bounce off and some get blocked. You get through some nicks and stuff, but it's not like a dead on accurate kind of shot. But it just still was awesome the way it's choreographed. And like one scene, I remember the crowd in the theater was just like, because it's like these are brutal deaths, and some people are just like getting a kick out of it. Honestly, it's like one favorite thing about it is like honestly, it's like where some dude's trying to call away, and John is because like dude's trying to get a gun up at John. John like sends a knife and stabs at his hand, and he sends another to keep him from crawling away. And he's just like ching, chew, and dude keeps trying to call like ching. It was like, man, that was like it's just so doggone funny. It's just wild, and it's just like, and then you see him earlier trying to assemble, like trying to get a gun. And you see it's like these 6 shooters, and like the bullet doesn't fit in one of the guns, so he kind of like disassembles a couple of guns and reassembles like a composite gun to be able to fire like this particular bullet. And he just a straight up like a 6 shooter, like a cowboy, just straight up like as soon as one guy trying to shows up around the corner, he's like just like just like a straight up cowboy, like poof, like just blows his head off, and it's just an amazing feat. And then you see like him killing people with horses and stuff like that, just to make it to this director, this organization that he used to be a part of that helped train John back in the day when he was coming up. The director played by Angelica Houston was part of the Rosca Roma crime syndicate, which is like an actual real. I don't think it's like a real crime syndicate. Not unlike uh, the Kimura crime syndicate that I mentioned in the Chapter 2 movie review. But he has this rosary that he got, kind of kept it safe for just for an emergency kind of situation. He presented to her, it's kind of like a ticket to where he gets safe passes no matter what to any place he goes. And she reluctantly, knowing full well he's excommunicado and he's sentenced to death pretty much, she pretty much breaks the rosary, breaks the ticket, and honors it, and knowing for well he's known because he did that, he's no longer welcome back into their inner circle anymore. And so he gets safe passes to Casablanca to meet up with Sophia, a person who he assisted with a marker for her request, and he's going to call in her bill, which is kind of like a harkens back to how, like, knowing for well, I mean, I know he's in a tough spot, so he has to do something he knows himself that he never wanted to do, but he has to do it. But at least he regrets it. But in the meantime, there's an adjudicator visiting several people that helped out John along the way so far, knowing for well what he did, and he has to answer for. He goes to Winston and the Bowery King and let them know, like, since you assisted John Wick, know for well that both of you needed to shoot him on the spot for what he had done. Both of you are going to have to leave your positions as penance. Neither one wanted to do that. So she hires Zero and his students to pretty much go after anybody involved. They give like 7 cuts to the Bowery King as penance for giving John Wick 7 rounds in the gun. They stab the director through the hands for giving him the ticket for passes to Casablanca, and of course we'll get to Winston in a moment, but Winston's like a straight up beast. John goes to Sophia and beseeching her for assistance to get the marker honored. She has to help him reach her former boss, because she's head of the Morocco Continental. And her marker deal, she requested John's help into hiding her daughter to keep her safe from her life, and the fact that she refused to know where her whereabouts are because she doesn't trust herself not to go try to find her, and because of that, it would end up putting her own daughter in danger. So she has to keep that, in her words, she has to kill that part of herself every day, and John's bringing that, back in her face, which infuriates her. So she takes him to her former boss so he can get information on where to meet the elder who sits above the high table, just to try to make amends so he can get this bounty and these excommunicado and all this other stuff off his back, because it's only so long before somebody gets lucky on him. And despite how good he is, he eventually will somebody will get lucky. So as the uh, former boss gives him the information on, like, walking in the middle of a desert and walking till you are near death. That's when the elder will find you. You don't find him. And then with the, as payment for this kind of assistance, he wants one of Sophia's dogs, which she refuses. And then he just ends up shooting one of the dogs. Luckily, the dogs are wearing a bulletproof vest, but and it's like looking in the mirror when it comes to John, because like he's seen her snap and shoot this dude in the crotch and then in the leg for shooting her dog. And it's like a funny moment that everybody that there was cracking up. It's like, and she's like, he shot my dog. And John is like, just, I get it. So they fighting their, now they have to fight their way out of the what do you call it? The Casbah. And like you see this awesome scene where it's like, because you've seen like behind the scenes where Halle Berry was practicing gunfighting for this role. You see her like covering corners so tactically, and these dogs are being used so efficiently. Subduing guys just to leave an opening for them to take headshots and make some kills. All that is just awesome. This is very well crafted. And you see like a funny moment when like John and like this other enemy ran out of bullets at the exact same time, and they're rushing, trying to reload and beat each other with the reload, and John beats him and takes him out. That was really brilliant. So she drives him to the desert, and with the marker honored, she there's a water bottle she gives to the dogs. And as she looks like she's about to give the rest to John, she takes it, takes a drink, swishes a little, and spits it back into the bottle and hands it to John, just to share final F you before she takes before she goes away. And I'm thinking to myself, and I think a lot of people might agree, as disgusting that is. And don't know if he actually probably did take a little bit of drink. He's in the fucking desert. Desperate times kind of situation. But it's like, as disgusting as it is, it's still Halle Berry. And it's like, it's kind of like, it makes it a little bit, knowing the fact that it's Halle Berry's like backwash kind of makes it a little bit better. As disgusting as it is, it still makes it a little bit better knowing it's her. So it's like, especially how desperate you are, I don't think anybody would begrudge you given the fact that you're in the fucking desert and the only liquid sustenance you have is like the backwash of what Halle Berry left for you. And it's like, no one won't begrudge you. So he finally meets up with the elder, and for recompense, in order to get out of this excommunicado and the hit squad and the bounty, he has to give up his ring finger and hands his wedding ring to the elder, so he can be allowed safe passage back to New York, so he can, because now he has to not only kill Winston, but he now has to get back into the life again for the rest of his days. So he that way he doesn't, because he doesn't want to die, because he wants to live to continue to remember his wife. And this where it kind of, I don't want to say take me out, but it's kind of like, in most cases in movies and people in this position, like especially action movies, they would have been more than happy to like die in order to be with their significant other in the afterlife. But then again, considering what John Wick has been doing for most of his life leading up to the marriage, no doubt he probably would end up going to hell for the shit he probably did, throughout his life, whether it's for good or ill. He probably won't see his wife. So I guess it kind of makes sense where he's like where I'm going, she won't be there, and I want to live long enough to still hold on to at least that memory before I die eventually, at least either naturally or by some lucky punk he's trying to take out. So he heads back to New York, and like he fights Zero's men in an awesome like motorcycle scene. And this awesome part in like the train station where you got these Zero and John looking at each other and about to square off until like this classroom full of, I won't say classroom, but like this group of kids on like a field trip holding hands and like walking on a line past them. And it's kind of like, it kind of undercuts like the seriousness with this goofy moment. And it's like, Zero's funny in this. It's like, like that's what I like about you, John. Because, if it was me, I wouldn't have stopped. You see his men are just, just straight up, Batman, Naruto, Nujutsu kind of disappearing acts that they're doing. Disappearing, reappearing in different spots. And John just like, he ain't having none of that. And just takes out one of the guys and try to reappear behind him. And just like, is he with you? He was. So there was like a motorcycle chasing where he's taking out lots of Zero students. He makes it back to the New York Continental, and like another funny scene where it's like Zero can't do nothing about it because he's on sacred grounds at this point. And they sitting down, and Zero's sitting down so uncomfortably next to John, and he started fanboying out. I was like, I gotta let you know, I'm a huge fan. It's like, is that the dog? Is that the dog? It's like this dude is like such a fanboy. It's so funny. And so John ends up going to Winston, and they have this chat, and it's like, he's like, Winston made his choice. He's not going to leave, and he's telling John, you should make your own decisions because you do want to how you want to live, someone Helen could be part of, or just another hired gun or tool for the high table. And John refuses to kill Winston, and Winston refuses to leave the table, so leave the Continental. So the adjudicator makes a call to have the Continental in New York to be what's he call it? Unconsecrated grounds, something like that, where it's like it's no longer sacred. So she sends like the high table hit squad, which is like fully armored, like just like the stormtrooper ninjas or something, but actually good at their job. So it's like pretty much like an all out, just, I won't say war, but Winston calls it a skirmish. And like, Carry On John had like some help. They all get taken down. So there's only Carry On and John left after they realize these guys got heavily armored, kind of bodysuits and helmets. So they get like these steel casing, armor piercing rounds with their shotguns and just blowing these guys' head off left and right. So they're taking them down while eventually John takes on Zero and his men, eventually taking them down, leaving two of them like, surrender, but they're alive, knowing full well they are beat at this point. They can't do nothing at this point. And Zero and John go square off, and like Cassian, played by Comet in part 2, Zero and Cassian's the only two people that actually, put John through his paces, and I'm thoroughly impressed. It's kind of like, it'd be underwhelming if they go down just like all these other henchmen. And it's like, these are, professionals, and you want them to behave as such. But John gets the upper hand on Zero. Zero is left to die. And I was kind of hoping, like, dang, I want him and Cassian to come back in part 4, because I believe Cassian can easily come back in part 4 because he didn't necessarily die. And kind of hope like somehow like Zero survive, because I want to see these two come back again in part 4. It's just like a all out just retaliation, and either a team up or a retaliation and like a final fight between them and John. But then the Adjudicator and Winston have a parlay. She will give him back his seat on the Continental New York grounds and be reinstated, but Winston has to kill John. So Winston betrays John, shoots him, and he falls off the roof. Somehow freaking survives, but barely. And as the Adjudicator goes to check, and John's not on the ground dead like she expects to, and now she's freaking out because telling Winston, you don't realize, you gotta find John, because we don't want to wake up one day with John entering our homes to kill us, or kill us in our sleep or something like that. And then the movie ends where John is being wheeled towards inside of like a shopping cart towards the Bowery King, who survived, and he's like hiding out in like a underground bunker. And John is like, it's like just overall just messed up, and and like the Bowery King is also, he's just being like just barely passed up from his cuts, and it's like, are you pissed, John? And then you see like John just flipping him off, but it's like, yeah, and it's like and you see like, okay, yeah, these two, just see Neo and Morpheus just together again, just wrecking shit for part 4. It's gonna be a sign. I cannot wait for part 4. It's supposed to be coming out in March next year, so we got 1 year before. It's supposed to come out this year, but with COVID, kind of pushed it. That's fine. We already got a lot of stuff coming out this year. So next March, it's gonna be crazy. I cannot wait to see what kind of new kills is gonna be, what kind of cameos from other kind of crazy actors we're gonna see, because we already got like Ruby Rose, Common, Halle Berry, Lawrence Fishburne. It's like, who else we gonna see as like a awesome assassin, like a cool action star, or at least cool star like Mark Derek Coast, like Lawrence Fishburne. These guys, these are superstars as assassins. I want to see what else can we expect. I'm so looking forward to that. But it'd be crazy if they had one of the MCU guys, maybe Tom Holland or Anthony Mackie, or Chris Evans, or Jeremy Renner, or Scarlett Johansson, or Florence Pugh, or something like that, just to show up as an assassin in part 4. That'd be wild. But yeah, that is part 3, and that's the wrap up of Keanu Reeves month. And eventually next year I will get back to Keanu Reeves month next January, with another slate of movies to talk about for him. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think of John Wick Chapter 3, what you think of the entire John Wick franchise so far right now, what you're looking forward to, anything that you have like any kind of like issue with so far as like any one of these films. Let me know, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Have a great evening.